Well, good evening, parents. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am going to ask if you'll make sure that you turn your microphone on mute. That will just help us make sure you can hear me, and it'll just make for a more enjoyable experience for everyone. Thank you for being here. We're super excited to get a chance to talk to you. And I hope if you hear anything tonight, you hear number one, we miss all of you very much. We are super excited to start this school year, and we are going to have an amazing school year. So really the purpose of tonight is kind of really to tips for a successful learning environment and an opportunity for questions. We did, anyone who submitted questions, we put those in the presentation and I will answer those tonight. If you have a question, if you want to put it in the chat, we will try to get to you tonight, but we might not be able to get to you tonight. And we will follow up with kind of question and answer session in a principal email coming up. So let's get started. Oh. Alrighty, so the first thing that most everybody wants to know about is the schedule, and a ton of questions about schedule. So really and truly, this is going to be the schedule and going to be when your child is required to be on. It's going to be it's going to be a lot more consistent than what it was last year. That's kind of why we're calling this a virtual learning environment versus at-home learning environment. So we were very strategic with that. You're going to have more interaction with your teachers. Your child's going to have more work and accountability built in. So we're also trying to do some things that will make an easy transition for our students who are coming back to face-to-face starting September 8th, and then hopefully eventually everybody will come back face-to-face. So we're also trying to be intentional about that. So every morning at 8 o'clock, we'll start with students having announcements, morning meeting and community circle with their teacher via Zoom. We're going to actually have announcements like we have at school. And so our students will do the pledges, they'll do the leopard pledge, and really just trying to build that normalcy of this is what we do when we come to school. Teachers will do a morning meeting where they connect with students, they'll ask students questions. This is also where we'll do some social and emotional learning with our students, so they have the opportunity so they have the opportunity to really meet their needs, not only mentally, but emotionally. We know that's really strong. And so we work really hard to build our students' character and their social emotional health. And so Ms. Ruggieri does a great job of leading our students and our teachers in that endeavor. And so that's really important that we develop your whole child. Then the next 30 minutes is going to be teacher time. So your child will be on Zoom from 8 to 9 a.m. every morning. And that's going to be a core subject area. It will depend on your child's teacher what that will be. So in the morning, it might be reading and writing, or it could be maybe a science lesson. But your teacher will be teaching your child. They will be going over expectations for the week. They will be also doing their lesson, really that lesson where they learn what their learning target is, what the criteria is to meet that learning target, so they can meet their overall goal of growing a year by May of 2021. From 9 to 9:15, they're going to take a break so they can go to the bathroom, do little wiggles, and then they're going to start their asynchronous learning, or I kind of like to call it independent time. So this is where they will do it'll be their work time with their teacher. I had a great question from someone who asked me, what about how much should I help them? And that was a great question, and I'll answer it in the end, but really this is your child's independent time. Guess what? If you help your child all the time, we don't know what your child can do. So it's okay if they do something and do it incorrectly. That is a great opportunity for our teachers to say, oh, that's an area we need to work on. Let's fix this. This is also a time where teachers will pull small groups or one-on-one, depending on what they're doing and what their purpose is. The first week of school will look different than the other weeks, but the first week, teachers are going to be sending out a sign of genius to you where you're going to get to pick a time where you and your child can sit kind of one-on-one for about 10 minutes with their teacher, and just an opportunity for the teacher to learn about them and for you all to learn about your teacher and also ask questions. If you have any questions about what's going on or the process of what's going on, that's going to be that time where you get to pick during the first week of school. After that, beginning kind of on Fridays, teachers will send out a schedule. So you will know exactly when your child needs to be in that Zoom for that small group time. So please know that's going to be very regimented for you, and you'll be either, if you're a paper girl kind of like me, or you'll be able to print that out and say, oh, Monday, my child Will needs to be on at 10:30. And so that will be very regimented and structured for you. We'll try to keep that as consistent as possible, but it might change just depending on your child's needs. Please also know during this time, your child might be watching another lesson of their teacher teaching. So they might be watching a science demonstration by their teacher or another second grade teacher on the grade level. And then having to do some work after that. So it's going to be very much, if you'll please,
can we not do this together?
Please put your, if you'll please put your microphones on mute, please. Thank you. So it will be a time where your kids will be doing some independent work. All of this work will not be done on the computer. So sometimes they'll be working in their reading draft book or their writing draft book or maybe their math journal. So it will fluctuate, but your students will know exactly what to do. Our teachers are working really, really hard to lay out very kind of, I hate to say the word strict, but very structured, thank you for that word, structured tasks for your kiddos, so there is no guesswork, because we know that's frustrating as a parent, and so we are trying to really be intentional and purposeful around that. At 11:15 to noon, it's lunch and play time, so students will get to eat a lunch. If it's pretty outside, I would encourage them to go outside and play for about 15 minutes, get some fresh air, run, get the wiggles out, and get some exercise, because we know that's important for their social emotional health, because they need that time. Then we'll come back at 12 o'clock. From 12 to 12:30, it will be another teach time. Again, teachers will choose what subject is at that time. It could be math, it could be science. It's just really, again, what meets their needs for the learning target for the day. From 12:30 to 1:30, students will finish their day off with an hour of independent time. Again, teachers will be pulling small groups during this time. They will set up the structure by Friday, the Friday before each week, so you'll know if your child needs to be pulled at that time or not. Sometimes your child won't be pulled during this time. It will just depend on your child's needs and what the goals the teachers are trying to solve during that time. Also during this 12:30 to 1:30 time, that's when your child will participate in specials activities. So our students go to PE 3 days a week, they have music 1 day a week, and art 1 day a week. If I was a parent, I would kind of set up that structure of, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're gonna do PE. On Tuesday, we're gonna do art, and Thursday, we're gonna do music. That is just easy for me to do. But again, it will be completely where your child will know exactly what to do. So Miss Abear might be doing a demonstration in music, and then your child will record something on Seesaw to turn into Miss Abear. Coach might be leading you in stretches, and so they will do something and then it will be recorded in Seesaw. So that is the schedule. And again, it will be very regimented and structured for students and parents to know what's happening each and every day. So kind of tips for success for our virtual learning environment. So we learned a lot in the spring. And so really, if you're going to set your child up for success, you really need to make it as much like school as possible. And so really that's kind of what some of these tips are. So the first thing is, you know, make sure your child's up about by 7 or 7:15 every morning. It depends on if your child is kind of takes a little bit longer to wake up than others. You need to gauge that so they're ready to learn and go by 8 a.m. Eat a good breakfast, get dressed, fix your hair, brush your teeth, like you're going to school. We are asking that students are not in pajamas this year. We want students dressed and ready for school like it's a normal school day. Pick the right location for your child. Some things to think about: is the location quiet? Is it free of things that could distract your child? Is this chair comfortable? Is it a low traffic area? I have 2 boys, and my boys are very different. So my son is, he is very much a kiddo who needs like a table and a chair. So he actually has been set up during this time home from college. He's in our dining room. He's taken that over because that best meets his learning need. My junior in high school, his best learning place has been on the couch with the lap desk because that best meets his learning needs. That's where it is. So you have to really think about what is your need. Miss George, could you please put everybody on mute for me? So that's really what his learning needs. That's his learning needs. We kind of joke, my husband, he can't be around anywhere there is people are walking by him. So he has kind of taken over our office and he's in an enclosed space. So it's really, what does your child need to be set up for the most success? But I would really think about some of these questions. Making sure they're comfortable is super important, because if they're not comfortable, you're not going to get their best work or their best attitude from them. Some more tips: really put all your supplies in one place, like your backpack or a big basket of stuff. So teachers are going to send videos out or work in small groups to get students school supplies set up for the year. So students are going to be working in their composition book. So they might have a math composition book. They're going to need crayons. They're going to need scissors, things like that. So teachers will really walk you through how to set up your school supplies, but you're going to need a place for them to go. So you want kind of a one-stop shop where a kiddo doesn't have to walk around the house looking for a pencil. You want everything right there for them so they don't really have an excuse to not be successful. Make sure their devices are charged each night. That's important so that they don't start to go do something and then the battery runs out and they're not close to a plug. So really charge those devices. Sometimes it is really more effective if you set timers for your kiddos. Sometimes a strategy I like to use with my boys is, how long do you think this is going to take you for you to do your very best work and to show what you know? So then we set a timer to see if we can meet it within that time. If we don't meet it in that time, I kind of say to my kiddos, how much longer do you need? Okay, well, let's go. Let's try that. Also, make sure during Zoom times it's free of pets and toys. I know it's super fun to have pets around, but they're also a distraction. Not only a distraction for your child, but for other kiddos in the class. So please make sure it's a pet-free and toy-free zone. Also plan for your breaks. So teachers will give you some resources for some more breaks, but something that we do with our kiddos is Go Noodle. It's a great site to get them up, moving and grooving. And what I appreciate them is it's about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So it's a quick break. to get going, and then you can sit down and get back to work. Some really great ideas also is really around creating daily checklists for your child or a schedule. Again, your teacher will really help you with this and will guide you through that. So you can see here's 2 different schedules for you to look at. You know, sometimes one has pictures and other is just times and specific to-do list and tasks. Again, what does your child need? If your child's in kindergarten or 1st grade, they're probably going to need the pictures. If your child is in 2nd through 4th grade, you can probably just write it out for them. But this really gives them a good idea and a good guide of what do I do next. Some other successful tips is if your child is struggling focusing, or you notice they're kind of like every time somebody makes a noise in the house, they're looking around, you might want to have them wear their headphones. It's a great tool to kind of have sound disappear and really focus on what you're doing. Some other things that are great tools are fidgets. Like my oldest, he loves to have something in his hands when he's learning, so he is always fidgeting with something. And actually, I went on Amazon today, and this like 25 pack of different fidgets is $16. So again, it's something just for your kiddo to hold in their hand. They can squish ball. There's some marble things in there, but something just to help them stay focused. It also really helps with like stress and anxiety. And so it's kind of a calming force for kiddos. So that's some tips for setting up students for success. And I don't know about you, but if you're a working parent like me, sometimes it's really great to have some tips of how do I manage both things at once, and how do I do that well without both of us pulling our hair out. So really kind of create a learning workspace that's separate from your workspace. So even if it's just right outside your door, your office doors, where it's maybe you've set up a little desk right outside there, so you can kind of see them, but they're not right on top of you. Create some before school expectations. Again, you're going to get dressed, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to eat breakfast before we start for the day. Prep the night before, go through your child's schedule, review it with them, and then share your schedule with your child. So, which you can kind of make notes of, you know, mom or dad can't help from this time to this time. So then your child will know, oh, I need to do something different if I get stuck. Have that conversation. Hey, if you're stuck, what could you do? What could you do different? Lay your clothes out the night before. Even go ahead and make your child's lunch. Because I don't know about you, sometimes in my work day, some things I might get behind schedule, or something is, pops up that I didn't anticipate. And so that really would allow, with that lunch made before, then it kind of allows you maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes to run and get it ready where they can eat. And so real fast, and it's not requiring a lot of think time for you. This is huge. Have your child practice logging on. Really set that independence up with your kiddo. This is how you're going to get on. This is how you're going to log on. You can do this. Really make sure they know you've got this. You can do this. And then kind of set timers for login time. So they know, oh my goodness, at noon, I got to be back on my Zoom. So maybe a timer goes off every day about 11:55 or 11:50 so they can log back on at noon. So we had some great questions, and so I just want to go through and answer them for you. And then if you all have questions at the end that I didn't address, I will try to answer them going through the chat. So can we request tactile resources like textbooks, consumable books for us to use at home? You know, we don't want students staring at a screen all day, and it's beneficial for them to use at home. So absolutely, we don't really have textbooks. Our kiddos don't use textbooks at school. So we are going to be passing out at the meet and greet. We are going to be passing out things for your kiddos at home. that will set them up for success. Again, they're going to have some of their school supplies that you're also will be picking up if you ordered a pre-package will also be things that they will be using where they're not staring at a screen. So for example, every kiddo will have a draft book, and so or they'll have paper for their stories to write on. So during that story time, they will be writing on paper. They won't be composing over the computer. They'll be writing on their paper or writing in their draft book, and then they'll just take pictures of that for their teacher. So we are going to be passing out handwriting books next Tuesday because that is one consumable that our kiddos get. But for example, like we don't really have a math textbook. We don't have a reading textbook. So textbooks per se, we don't have because research shows that best practices, that's really not the best way kids learn. So teachers will be sending out other things that's not always computer-based where kids are staring at computers all day. Great question. Thank you for that. Do we still need to pick up supplies on the 11th if we plan to attend in person starting on September 8th? Will my child need supplies each day? Yes, 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 yes. You still need to pick up supplies on September 11th. We'll be passing out school supplies. We will also be passing out some goodie bags for our students, and we will be passing out handwriting books and other things that your child will need to be successful for virtual learning. Will your child need supplies each day? Yes, they will need supplies each day. So again, please, please, please come on September 11th. How will students with special services or with special needs be served? So our students with special needs will be served either through special education, 504, our dyslexia program, or our reading intervention teacher will be serving those. So each child's intervention plan will be different based on their needs. So for example, if your child is in dyslexia, Miss Hutchison will be contacting you for your child's dyslexia time every single day. So your child will have maybe an additional time of dyslexia at a certain time each day that you know, okay, my time is at 1 o'clock for dyslexia. So your child would tune in with Miss Hutchison with dyslexia. Your child will have all the dyslexia supplies they need at home too. So any books or folders that they need, Ms. Hutchison will have them ready for you to pick up on August 11th. If your child is in special education, your case manager will be calling you, to set up individual times for your child. They will also be sending home alternative work for your kiddos if that is necessary. So if your child is a child who is not working on grade level, then they will be delivering to your front porch different activities for your child to do to set up for success. We will also be setting up some times for some of our students in special education to transition back to school during that 3 weeks if they're coming back for face-to-face. So if your child is virtual for the first 9 weeks, you won't have this, but if your child is coming back face-to-face, we'll set up some times for you to come up to school where we can practice getting out of the car. We can practice walking to your classroom, kind of getting your children acclimated back to that routine and that structure. So that will all be set up. Your special education teacher will be calling you sometime next week to really get that schedule settled for you. What do we do if we can't make the meet and greet next week? That's a great question. So we have a couple of alternatives times. So if you can't come during the day to your child's meet and greet, we also are having a meet and greet from 5:30 to 6:30 on August 11th. If you can't meet that time, if you would please email me, then we will set up an opportunity for you to come up and pick up your supplies. And if not, if you can't make it when we're at school, then we'll have somebody deliver them to you. So we'll just set that up on a case-by-case situation. So if you can do that, please let us know. Can you talk a little bit about what level parents should be involved in the kids' daily assignments? So that's a great question. Also, so again, what I would say to you is let your child fly. And I know as a parent, that's super hard to do. But as teachers, we don't know what your child doesn't know if you're helping them. And we kind of laugh because sometimes in the spring, we could hear the parents whispering to the kid to tell the kid what to do or what to say. So please let your child fly. If the child needs to count to 50 on Seesaw and they only get to 28, that's okay. That's what we are here for as teachers, to teach your child and to let them grow and blossom and fly. That's our job. That tells us exactly what we need to do. So please let us help your child. Let them do their very best. And if their very best is to count to 10, that's fine. We know where to start and where to go. Will the on-campus students be assigned physical books to take home for reading assignments? So again, we really don't have physical books. We will not have physical books for the first 3 weeks of school. We are looking for some different things that we'll be sending home. So you might be getting paper copies of books, or you also might be getting some digital copies for students to read books. So we will have books in kiddos' hands because we want to make sure they're reading and they're reading books on their level. Can you share how attendance will be taken and how many times a day? Great question. So attendance will be taken every day via Zoom. So your child's attendance will be taken between that 8 to 9 o'clock time and at that noon time. We will also look at the asynchronous time. So if for some reason your child misses a Zoom, which I'll be honest, your child's gonna miss out on instruction. So it's super important for your child to make it to those Zooms. But let's say, for example, they miss a Zoom session, but your child does that day's asynchronous learning task and turns it in for that day, then they would be counted there for their asynchronous time. So as a district, we have to keep track of attendance kind of 2 ways. Were you present virtually in like the Zoom sessions, and then were you present in the asynchronous sessions? So we'll be keeping track of attendance both ways. So again, it's super important that your child tunes into that Zoom time, and also that they do the asynchronous learning for that day. So the teachers will say, this is your goal today. This is your exit ticket. This is what you have to do today. This is the first thing you need to do. Teachers will be very explicit in their instructions to you all and to the students of what needs to be done that day. So a lot of you kind of have questions of face-to-face environment. So I kind of made the decision to do virtual first 3 weeks of school. Here's what it is. Here's what it's going to look like. And then we'll talk face-to-face in probably about 2 weeks. I'll host another meeting for you talk face-to-face environment. For example, what will the school day look like? What's arrival, dismissal, lunch, recess, and specials, moving around the buildings, and cleaning procedures. I'll do that in about 3 weeks. I don't know about you all, but as many emails as I'm having to read and all that, it's hard to keep track of everything. So I'm going with the less is more motto and really saying, this is what you need to know for the first 3 weeks of school. And then we will go from there. I do want to ease your mind a little bit on Thursday, August 13th, during your child's Leopard Connection time. That will be the time where your teacher walks through every single thing with you of exactly what it's going to look like, exactly where to go to get everything, and for a time for you to ask questions about specifics of what's going on. So your teachers will really walk you through that step by step. Here's where you go on Seesaw. Here's where you look for this. Here's how you need to be connected. So we are going to do that on Thursday, August 13th with your teacher. So I think we have some comments. So let me look at the comment section. I'll stop my share screen. And let me see what those questions are. Okay, so can the district provide the appropriate permission via Zoom to allow parents to record the sessions? I'm not for sure the district can provide sessions, but we could record our sessions, the teacher sessions. So we will have the teachers record those sessions so they'll be available for our students. Oh, great question. How will they work? How will the schedule work for GT? So that's a great question. So if your child is in GT in 3rd and 4th grade, then they will have their specialized teachers. So for example, if your child is a 4th grader, they will have GT ELAR for the first session at 8:30. So the GT kiddos will check in with their homeroom at 8 a.m. to do the community circle and the team building there. Then at 8:30, they will join Miss Waits for her lesson. And then they will join Mr. Knight at noon if you're a 4th grade GT. If your child's in 3rd grade GT, it's flip-flop. 8 o'clock, they'll check in with their homeroom teacher. 8:30, it will be with Miss Nelson for math. And then at noon, it will be with Miss Waits for ELAR. And so it will flip-flop like that. And then Mr. Doty will be teaching our 3rd and 4th grade GT science students. And he will work with Mr. Knight and Miss Nelson on what days they'll do a Zoom with them. But the Zoom link will be the same so that kids won't be confused for that. So that's a great question. Great question. What if your child has a doctor's appointment? No problem if your child has a doctor's appointment during that synchronous time, that's fine. You'll just want to make sure that they get that asynchronous schedule or that asynchronous assignment turned in that day. So they'll be counted present, and you would still send Ms. Payne the doctor's note so that we have that record on file for them. If my child switches to virtual from person or vice versa, do they have to also swap classes? That's a great question. So I'll be very honest with you. It's honestly going to depend on your grade level. So for example, if your child is in kindergarten, your child will have 2 face-to-face teachers and 1 virtual teacher. So while we're all virtual, those face-to-face students will have who they're going to have when they come back to face-to-face. And then the virtual students will have virtual students. But if my child is in kindergarten and I am virtual and decide to come back, it's all going to be driven by numbers. So for example, if we have 10 kids come back, then the teacher who's teaching virtual will come back to school and teach face-to-face, and then we'll teach probably face-to-face and virtually. So to be honest with you, it's just going to depend on your child's grade level and the numbers of how many students we have face-to-face or virtual. It is highly likely that your child could swap teachers throughout the year, going from face-to-face to virtual or virtual to face-to-face. That could likely happen. Will the slides you presented tonight be emailed to us? Absolutely. I'm actually recording this session, so I will be able to include this whole recording, and then I'll also just send the slides out for parents to view. How will Zoom links be sent directly to the students for all their teachers? So we do not have the option to do Google Calendar in kindergarten through 4th grade. So it will be sent via Seesaw. And so our teachers, again, when you tune in on August 13th for your teacher, our teachers have worked really, really hard to create specific links and easy ways for kids to access those links. So for example, some of our teachers have created these virtual classrooms where all a child has to do is go to the picture of a little Z and boom, they're in the virtual classroom. So we will model that for you on August 13th. And then really, if and when we return to school, what happens if a child becomes sick at school? So if a child becomes sick, it will honestly depend on what they have. So we have certain safety protocols that we will put in place and that will be put in place that I'm going to go into greater detail on August 24th, the week of August 24th. So you'll have kind of a play-by-play of exactly what will happen. But they'll go to an isolation room. Nurse Debbie will evaluate them. She'll call you, and then we will go from there. If you test positive for COVID-19, then we will have certain procedures that include us contacting parents that your child was either exposed to COVID-19, and also contacting parents that we have a case in our building. So again, we're still working out all the details. So, but it's very strict, it's very strategic and systematic. So we will make sure that you know that information as we get closer to coming back. So do I have any other questions that that you would like for me to answer? I feel like I kind of talked fast. I apologize if I talked too fast. I was trying to honor your time because I know you're probably tired and done for the day. So, well, we are here for you. We are, yes, I will, I can repeat dates. So, and it's actually gonna be in my principal message tomorrow, all the dates, but I will repeat them right now. And I'm actually going to go to our website so I don't accidentally tell you something incorrectly. So one moment. I will tell you and I'm going to share my screen so I can show you this. Our website is really good and we've worked really hard to kind of put everything in there. Hold on. So if you go to our main website, lovejoyisd.net, right here, you click here and you get all the information around kind of procedures and planning guides for this year. And if you need transportation questions, you can go to tab 3, but this is a great set. Like this is all about back to school. So back to school information is all right here kind of in one-stop shopping for you to look at your supply list, things like that. But if you go to campuses and go to Lovejoy Elementary, we also have all of the information here. So for example, on this site after tonight, once everything uploads, we'll have the video from today. But if you scroll down here, you will see the latest news from Lovejoy Elementary. These are all of our principal messages. And so it's a great way to go back and look at things. So here we go. So the fall planning guide for Lovejoy ISD will answer all your questions around how we're going to handle departures and things like that. The back to school information is kind of your one-stop shop. If you need technology and you haven't filled out your technology request form, please do that here. And that's all low, but here we go. So meet the teacher, our Leopard drive-through and meet and greet and supply pickup. This process will be on Tuesday, August 11th. Our kindergarten and first grade teachers will be from 9 to 10. Our second graders will come from 10:30 to 11:30. Our third graders will come between 1 and 2. Our fourth graders will come 2:30 to 3:30. And then if all grade level, if you can't make it those times, we'll also be available 5:30 to 6:30. Again, if you can't make any of those times, please let us know and we'll schedule something for you else. And then Leopard Connection, kind of formally Meet the Teacher, but Leopard Connection is going to be super important for you as a parent to go to this year. Number one, it's going to be the first time your kiddos are going to get to see who's in their class, and that's always exciting. But number two, it's really going to let you know exactly what you need to do, where to go for all your kiddos' information. So our kindergartners are at 5 o'clock, first grade is at 5:30, second grade is at 6, third grade is at 6:30, and fourth grade is at 7 o'clock. And so those are our dates. So next week, August 11th and August 13th. Alrighty, well, so if you have poor internet, if you will email me, I will forward your information to Dr. Womack, and they at the district level are working with families to try to better that internet service. So if you'll just email me that information, I'll be more than happy to send that to Dr. Womack. You can also fill it out on the technology request form. We have some questions about that, and we'll be sure to help you out there. So again, thank you for tuning in. We are here for you. If you have questions, please call me, email me anytime. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. I know like one parent was like, man, you got back to me fast. Well, we're trying to stay on top of that. So please email us, call us anytime. We are here to serve you, and we want you and your child to have the very best experience, because I know this is going to be the best year yet. So thank you for coming, and I hope all of you have a great night.